We should be live now, so I'm gonna check on something as we go through this. So, hi Jen, how are you?
Not bad. How are you doing?
It's been crazy, right? So,
Yeah,
oh man,
understatement.
yeah, for real. Oh, there we go. We should be live.
This is super cool.
So, what show were you gonna go to? I just saw that one of
Oh
your
my
shows got
god.
postponed, right?
Yeah, it was the Denver Pop Culture Comic Con,
Oh,
or I
okay.
think that's what it's called. I know it's changed its name recently, but yeah, they're changing the. I guess that convention center, which is huge, is going to be a temporary hospital for the
Oh,
next couple of months. So yeah, I was
okay.
like, okay, that was kind of hard for me to take in. I was just like, that's a lot of people to fit in there. So.
Yeah. So, oh well.
But supposedly Kay Bailey Hutchison is doing the same too.
That's what I heard. So I'm not sure with yeah. So a lot of shows, I think they already know. It's like, well, we'll just postpone it or
I
cancel
don't
it. I
know.
think
I
Akon
was.
canceled outright this year.
Oh, did it really? I thought it
Yeah.
postponed.
Nope.
Okay.
We're doing like we're gonna skip 2020. We'll be back in 2021. I was like, you know what? Take a reset. Like
I,
new
I
owners, new
know.
era. Just that's okay.
I was really hoping Denver would do the same. They're going to be doing it Thanksgiving weekend. I was just like, oh wow, that's going to be rough.
You know what? It's not bad.
You don't think so?
So
Okay, so you've traveled
anime
while on things.
Anime Dallas was over Thanksgiving weekend,
Okay.
and it was busy. It was good. Everyone I talked to said they made money, and it
All
was a show.
right. Okay.
So when I was younger, we did a Thanksgiving show, and no one showed up. Like legit, another vendor passed out in his booth. He's just dead asleep, dead asleep. No one showed up. But at that time, there was only two conventions in DFW, and this was like a baby small third one, and that was it. And
Hmm.
so nothing in Austin, nothing really in Houston. So cons weren't a thing. Cons weren't like a shopping experience. So
So
now it's like a portable market that people go to, and they it's accepted. You know what I mean?
no, and fair. I had this discussion actually on the anime, excuse me, the Artist Alley International. There was a person talking about how they didn't understand how anybody can make any money on conventions during Easter. And I was like, well, there's actually one in Houston that did it quite a few times. I was talking about Missouri. And she's like, well, I'm in Florida and nobody goes. And I guess I told her, I was like, well, I guess we just have more heathens in Houston. But
Oh, they show up later. They show up way later. Like I remember people were being super worried in Dallas or Texas for a show. They're like, "Where is everybody?" It's like, "Oh, wait till like one. Like, everyone has to go to church
mm,
first." So they're like, "Oh,
mm-hmm.
okay." And then everyone like, "Yo, you're right. You showed up." Unless you're at a hipster show. You have a hipster show. They show up at like 1:32, maybe five, depending.
I'd
Yeah.
agree with that actually.
So I guess the plan for Denver is going to be over Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
It depends on the
yeah.
local scene. If the local scene is pretty strong, I would imagine they would people will show up, especially after all this.
Oh,
You
I
know,
know. Well,
it
yeah,
may
there's
be
a lot of things.
overcrowded to be quite honest.
Well, see, and that's what I'm wondering is like, there's a lot of things I worry about this, and I'm trying not to think too hard about it. But travel too, right? Because I'm going to drive there, and because I love driving to Colorado.
Oh
But
yeah,
I just, whenever I go to East Texas to family, usually there's a lot of stores and things along the way that are not open at all. So, something that is farther away. I mean, would that make it more difficult for me to like, I don't know, get something stupid as gas maybe, or get a hotel or something? I
gas
mean,
should be pretty good for everything's automated outside. Because
oh,
me and Ruby's gone to Kansas City, Missouri. So it's a long, like 10 hour, twelve
okay,
hour stretch. And I've driven to Atlanta before. So gas is not really a problem.
have you
And
ever?
when if it's a big problem, they usually put up a
Uh,
sign. Like we saw a sign that says "Get gas now" because there's not another gas station for 200 miles or something like that. Because it's through all this open land, so they have a
yeah,
sign that says "Yo, last gas station,"
yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. I always keep it when I'm driving that way. I always, like a quarter down, a third down, then
How's
I
the
refill.
how's the weather during that time? Have you ever driven
Mm-mm.
during? I
Not,
mean, see, that's the other thing I was
no.
wondering about. It's like, this is not the beginning of November. It's towards the end of November, and it's like Colorado's weather is definitely way different than like Texas.
No, that's true. I would imagine getting out of Texas and maybe New Mexico being okay, or however direction you're heading towards there. Because I leaving Texas in like January, February gets dicey.
Yeah.
Because we have those late winter storms and maybe heavy rains and stuff like that. But in November, it's not so bad. You know what I mean? The weather's not crazy. But leaving that area, I'm not entirely sure what's gonna happen. But yeah, because I see my friend in Colorado, she gets snow in like August. I was like, Jesus, is it already starting? It's like, oh yeah, okay,
Oh my God. Okay.
yeah, just a flurry. I was like, oh okay, cool. That's how you live up there.
Fun times. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, so we'll see. What were you gonna bring to the show?
Well, actually, I was going to bring a project that I just recently finished. It was something I started 4 years ago. It was really supposed to be kind of so I used to do sequential art comic books about 15 years ago, and I tried to find, there wasn't web comic publishing during that time. It just wasn't at the place it is now. So unless you knew coding yourself, or you could find a coder, which I could not on both parts, yeah, publishing online was just not a thing. And then self-publishing, um, there were no minimum like printing. There was no
Mm-hmm.
digital press, so it was all flexo. And
Minimum of
so,
like a
and
thousand
then
units.
exactly, exactly.
It's like,
And if you were to
oh.
actually post in like Diamond catalog, you're talking at least 2,000 units, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, jeez, Louise. I just got out of college, had no money, and so anyway, I was looking for a publisher. Long story short, they didn't like they liked my art. The story that I was trying to do was just way too long. They were looking for a one issue, one shot kind of thing, and so I kind of got despondent, got into fan art crafts for a long time, and I decided about 4 years ago that I wanted to get back into it. So this really was supposed to be something to kind of get me back in the saddle, if you will.
Okay.
And um, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if you started projects and then you had something in mind, and something told basically the art itself was telling you to go in a completely different direction, which was just not even remotely in what you originally planned. And that's exactly what happened with this one. I was going to do black and white, and somehow derived or wrote. I wanted to do color eventually. How was I going to do color? And I thought, okay, painting. I haven't done painting since college, so that had been a long time. I decided to do watercolors. That's not what I was trained to do. So there were a lot of things that I was getting into that. So this was supposed to be a 2 year project. Long, long, long. And anyway, it taught me a lot. It really changed my style completely. Um, but anyway, this project is a short story, fantasy kind of short fantasy novel about these little creatures, children, just doing what children do best, which is basically explore and get into naughty stuff that children do, and essentially is about family. So a lot of my experience with my ranching side of the family came into this, and I didn't even realize it. It was really kind of
Oh, that's
interesting.
cool. Interesting.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't know
really
you
is.
had a ranching side of the family.
I do actually. On
Oh.
my mother's side, my grandfather was a rancher, and after she decided around 63, well, not the year 63, but when she was retirement age, basically, she was ready to do ranching again. So
Oh.
she moved out to East Texas, and they've been raising Angus cattle for,
Oh. Well, there you go.
I think, 15 years now.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty cool. Yeah. So, but yeah, so anyway, the art that I've brought to the table is just it's 44 pages, a single issue, and every page is a painting, a watercolor painting.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, it was really cool.
this is the you said the fantasy one, correct?
hmm
Are the pages
Yeah,
I've been seeing lately that you've been working on? That's the project?
that is something new, actually. Well,
Oh, okay.
it depends on what you're talking about. Like, I been creating charms, which is a part of this world
Mm-hmm.
that I've created, so that's still a part of this thing.
Okay.
The story itself is done, but I'm still playing. that was the other thing that happened with this thing. It was just I got so caught up in doing conceptual work for it that I didn't even realize. I think I was a closet conceptual artist, and oh my god, just exploded. I mean, I would say probably about three-fourths of the stuff that I created never got into the book
Mm.
itself. So yeah, I'm still playing with that, and then I've got another project that I've been the one that I told you about that I started 15 years ago.
Okay.
Now that I'm older, I kind of just ground zero kept the core of it, and I've been building that from scratch. And that one, it's really cool now that I've been starting to kind of dip my toe into kind of the conceptual part of it. Man, things have changed. Things have changed a lot.
Yeah, it's how our life really reflects what we're working on, and like the message and the story we can bring to
Mm-hmm.
it. It changes. Like I love looking at Kevin Smith movies with his like Clerks, and then actually his Clerks series, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
Chasing Amy. Like you can see him grow and the
Yeah,
different challenges he has to face at different ages of his life. I was like, oh, okay, this is neat. Like those are like his really personal ones, which I think really works out for him the best. And I think and everybody does it. You know what I mean? Our
oh
story
yeah,
changes, what our subject matter and what we really trying to focus on really changes over the years.
oh gosh. And something as simple as artist styles, watching people evolve with
Mm.
that, especially with manga artists. There was one that I followed. I don't know her name right now. I'm horrible with names. So anyway, the manga that I was following was called Silver Diamond, and from I think it was like 11 novels total. But anyway, from the first one to the last one, it took, gosh, 10 years for her to finish.
Oh wow!
And it's just a huge difference. It's beautiful to watch the transitioning from where she started to where she ended. It was just gorgeous.
You
And
ever
I love
seen
seeing that.
Have you ever seen Hikari no Go?
I don't know if I had. That sounds
It's
familiar.
it's a book that came out like a while back, and the artist it's they the characters grow up like they do have a shortened time period, but his concept the concept was the characters grow up from like middle school to like high school, and you see
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you look at the art and like they do age. Like this is really neat for me to see a character age that way in a book because most books the characters don't age ever. So I was
You
like, oh,
know,
that's neat because it tells a story over a life period, which is kind of cool, and you see it, you know.
there's a I can relate to this, not from a personal standpoint, but you know, things pop up on your feed and whatnot. And so Harry Potter, I guess children that grew up with the same age that Harry Potter was versus
Oh,
where he
mm-hmm,
ended. And as he was transitioning through the periods, they were like, "Oh my God, I totally relate to
mm-hmm,
this because that's exactly what's happening." And it was interesting for me to see that because you know, obviously I started with as an adult reading all this, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess I remember that." But it's interesting to see uh, works do that
mm-hmm.
and do it well.
We use Harry Potter as a reference for the kid. We're like
Oh yes.
he's about Order of Phoenix, where he's starting to figure out the parents don't know everything. There's some bad things going on. There are some really bad people out there.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
and so, because that's what happens in the book, right? Like they're like, you know what?
Mm-hmm,
They don't know what they're doing because they're not connected at this level. And
mm-hmm.
so he's at that point now. Maybe a little further. But yeah, the books are really good at showing where kids are in their age bracket and the age
Yeah.
when those books come out. Well, I think she said she was writing them for her kids as they got older. So the subject matter and what they're interested in and what the challenges they face would be different because they're getting older
Oh
too.
wow. Yeah. I didn't realize she based it on her children.
Not like base it, but I think because there were stories for her kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, what are they? What troubles are they in? How are they looking at parents? What kind of things they're discovering about authority figures and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, I, are you? I saw somewhere you're a Potterhead, right? Or is what y'all are Harry Potter freak a little bit, right? There it
Just a
is.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I got into the audiobooks. The one with
Mm-hmm.
I forget the guy's name. He won like all these awards for his audiobook work for that series. Because it sounds like a radio play. Because his voices
Oh.
you forget that you're listening to one guy.
Oh, I love it when there are really good voice
He's
actors doing that.
he's so good. And
Oh.
I honestly like
Yeah.
his version of Luna Lovegood than the movie. Like I just like her inflection in his telling than the one
Oh
we got in
wow.
the movie. Like the movie is good, but like I just prefer the other style of
Hmm,
it.
hmm.
So, but I used to listen to that while I work. It was really kind of cool. And so I've gotten, I always watch the movie first and then listen to the audiobook because I knew if I listened to the book first, there'd be details missing and that would distract me from the story. So I'm just gonna enjoy the movie as it is, and then the book is the director's cut, and I get to enjoy the whole story that way.
Let's say that you didn't have that option. Do you find that you get lost in the version that you were introduced to first too much?
I Sin City. When I watched Sin City, that
Hmm.
movie was so on point to the book. There's a panel missing. Like there's a line
Oh
missing right
wow.
here in this scene. There's a
Okay.
very distinct line here, and I was like, "What happened? Why'd you take it away? Just film it." And then I missed where are we in the movie? Okay, I gotta get back into it. And especially in Harry Potter, if you go back into it, man, there's like whole arcs and characters missing from the movies. And you're like, wait, how they? Because I would get distracted. It's like, wait, how did I tie this to that? What's gonna go happen here to here? X Men, same way. Whenever they do an
Mm,
X Men arc, I'm like, okay, how are they gonna
mm.
do this? And I get distracted.
Like I see sometimes entertainment media, movies, TV, whatnot. I find that it's going to sound really bad, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody's IP, but fan fiction. It's kind of like an alternate version of someone that loves your work and just has I guess another a fan service version of it. And I love seeing the different ways that people are able to take and digest what you're doing and put it in a different form. And I just love it. Like I love the books when I read it, and I read the books first. And when the movie started coming out, or that might have been the fourth one was where it was when they started them. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I found that I actually enjoyed the movies better because I thought that they
Oh,
um, smoothed out some of the really disjointed way that she wrote. There were certain things that she did, and God, fan fictions love to point them out, that didn't quite work. But that's just how it is,
yeah.
novel writing and whatnot, and it is what it is. But yeah, I find that sometimes I actually enjoy the movies better.
Okay, I can see
Not
that though.
because they're better, just somehow it's just smoothed over.
Yeah, you see what works. I know sometimes in some stories you have to take a risk and you make a certain swerve,
Hmm.
and how you treat the swerve, it
Oh,
may or may not work out. Like who knows?
you may actually know this. So we had like some sort of hangout friend gathering thing last Saturday, and I brought up one of these DVDs that I had that I purchased on the low low, but it's a Fantastic Four movie that gone completely all the way through and was finished, and they never released it whatsoever.
Yep,
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it. I know of it.
Okay, so it followed the comic books completely,
From
like
Do you know this? Do you know the
horribly so.
backstory to it?
Some of it, yes.
Like it was made just to hold on to the rights. It was never meant to
Yeah.
be released.
Are you serious?
Never meant to
I
be
mean, I'm not
released.
surprised because that's why they've done Fantastic Four for the last 10 years, all the different versions, because they were trying to keep the rights. But
From what I remember, the rights for Spider-Man and Fantastic Four were sold on the cheap when Marvel was having like chapter something issues, late '90s. I want to say
was, was that
early.
when they turned them over? Was in the 90s?
The So like Marvel went through a couple iterations where it was like it kind of, I forget who owned it, and then I think a toy company kind of owned it for a little bit. Certain rights were sold to help float the company for a little bit, and then it started turning around at some point. I forget when. Like I gotta dig into it. Back when there
Wow.
was actual comic book journalism about the business. But yeah, that Fantastic Four movie was never meant to come out. They were
Oh my
gonna
God.
make it, then shelve it, and then that resets the IP movie, very particularly movie IP for an X amount of time. So
If you ever want to watch it.
I was so weird. I remember seeing VHS copies of it at cons
Hmm,
when I was a
hmm.
kid. I was like,
Same.
Because I remember walking by, I was like, oh, that's that TV pilot I heard about. That's that TV pilot I heard about. I was like,
It
oh,
was
that's kind
so
of cool.
it was so weird, that whole industry during the time. I remember getting like Generation 3 of like a particular anime series of
Oh, yeah.
VHS. Like there was different generations. Like, oh yeah, I've got number 2, dude. It's so close to the first generation.
Yeah, my friend, and actually, I think Ruby and her mom had they had the laser disc, so they had the
Oh,
imports. Yeah, so
okay.
they were into the subtitling scene way back in the day, trading tapes, trading. I have a
I
digital
believe that.
master. I need a subtitler. Like, let's find some people and like coordinate this. You
I
know,
absolutely believe that.
is back when like I said earlier with the con over Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
It was kind of this weird fairy tale market where like my first Comic Con, I don't know how I went. I don't know how I ended up there. I just knew about it, and I just told my parents, and they took me. So back in the day, it wasn't like there's no internet, there's no phone book. Like how you just show up at a con somehow. Like how do I get here?
Was it one of those ones where it was Bulldogs Productions,
Mm-hmm.
where it was a fantasy convention?
Fantasy
Not
Fair,
necessarily. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
97,
about.
98, I think I went. So that's when I
Oh
saw all those tapes
gosh,
and things. So I was like, oh, this is cool.
92.
Yeah, I've been
Oh
to
my
trade
gosh.
shows before because my mom does beauty trade shows back in the day. And so I've
Oh,
been
did
to
she really?
those. I've sold beauty
Okay.
supplies, and so they used to do a lot of trade shows. So I would like help set up when I was like 6. So it's been
That's
interesting.
super cool.
But yeah, well, so let's go back to your. Let's go
Okay.
back to you. Were you always an artist? Because you dabble in like a lot of things, or dabble is the word for
Yeah.
it. You're into a lot of
Uh,
different things, but they're all like artsy and crafty.
yeah. It's the only thing I can think to call it is creative ADD. I
Mm-hmm.
just I th- so I during I guess this is 6 years ago at my current job. We did this like dominant personality test or whatever. It's something that's hardwired kind of thing. It's not
Mm.
necessarily a personality type. It's what you are at the core.
Okay.
But so anyway, one of them was learner, and it really kind of fit to it. I remember when I was really young. I guess I was still in elementary. I'd go through the library and just kind of go through the craft file and just pick a book and start learning how to do it. So I taught myself how to
Mm.
crochet, knit, stuff like that. I did basket weaving at one point. My brother found an indie headband that was a elastic one. I was able to deconstruct it and took it on a loom that I had for scarves and started learning how to bead that way.
How'd you get a
And then
loom?
I think it was a Christmas gift, to
Okay.
make a scarf. But once I knew the
Oh.
the logic of it, which is how I explain everything that I do. Once I get the logic of it, I can pretty much apply it to something else.
Mm.
So, like, for instance, okay, I did a dehydrator when I was younger, where I took my Lego box, followed the instructions for a dehydrator in the book, and then I actually made a dehydrator, and it worked. Um, but okay, but as far as like
Oh,
deconstructing
yeah.
something, like, so for instance, like when I was in college, I took watercolors and whatnot, and they told us that watercolor paper likes to absorb water and it likes to blow up, and then when it dries, it comes down. But if it's not tensioned like a drum, when it comes down, it'll start to bubble, and you'll have all this kind of surface structure that you don't want.
Yeah.
And so when I was doing my work currently, I knew about screen doors. I had some experience with screen doors. So anyway,
Mm.
that lining that goes around the screen itself, you can put piping in it, and it will hold something like a drum. So
Oh, there you go.
so yeah, but yeah, no, I've always drawn. I got into when my mom remarried. We went to Cincinnati, and there was an art school that essentially was from grade 6 all the way up to senior in high school.
Oh,
But
wow.
you had to, yeah, but you had to audition to get in. So,
Okay.
and they had like, I guess, different fields of study. You had your dance, your music, your vocal, and you had your art, and I think writing was another one, creative writing. Um, I did that for a year, and then we moved to Dallas. I think somewhere, it doesn't matter. I moved all over the place. I was one of those kids that I went to like 4 different
Oh, yeah.
elementaries, 2 different high schools. I think it had 6 different like middle schools, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But Yeah, I went to Arts Magnet here in
Okay.
Dallas.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, this is so bad, dude. There was somebody that I met at the Lubbock convention that we got to talk, and no, it was at library convention,
Okay.
Women's of Wonder, very
Mhm.
cool. Anyway, I met this gentleman that was an illustrator here locally, and he said something, and I was like, "Holy cow, are you an alumni for Arts Magnet?" And he's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh my god, me too." He's like, "Oh, that's great," and I was like, "Yeah, it's '93," and he kind of got quiet. And he started blushing. I was like, "Oh man, here we go." He's like, I was born then." I was like, "Of
Oh
course you were.
no.
Of course you were."
Yeah.
But yeah, I got into cosplay, just different materials. At one point, I think this is probably about 2 years ago. This popped up on Facebook. I know it's listening to me, and that's fine because I like the algorithm, and it knows what I like. It's cool. It was a Japanese woodcut print class
Oh.
at the Crow Museum downtown,
Mhm.
and I signed up for it and everything. It was something that I'd already wanted to do, and I was trying to prepare to do it, but there were certain things that I couldn't find information on enough for me to actually dig into it. So I'd already had some chisels that I'd gotten.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, I just whatever floats my boat. Like currently, right now, I got a book on how to make kilts, and I'm going to make a neon safety yellow with
Oh.
reflective material kilt.
Yeah. Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be amazing.
I mean, it's so bad, dude. It's like you can't see it, but my whole bedroom is it looks like a warehouse. It just has so many
Everything, right?
different things. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I, I joke about it, but like art club for life, right? Like
Mhm.
it's I was in a member of my art club in high school. Like, you know what I mean? I did posters for different marketing stuff around the school and things like that. So a lot of time it comes from a lifetime of just doing different things. And it sounds like you like moved around a lot. So is all this stuff is self taught. Like you picked up a book, you learned about it, and then I guess you also went to school.
There was a couple of like I was traditionally taught as far as like excuse me curriculum. As far as
Mm-hmm.
like fine arts where you got to do your still lives. Here's your gesture drawings. Here's the design points, whatever. Gosh, I forget some of the stuff. It's been so long. Like color theory and stuff like that. So yeah, I was trained on that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was always picking up from something. So half and half, I guess. 50% on my own, and the other 50% from someone else. There's something about like actually interacting with somebody as opposed to just picking it up from a book.
Mm-hmm.
They, and they could be only just telling you the exact same thing that's written down in the book, but for some reason, your aha comes quicker with the person in front of you than it does with a book, and I don't know why that is.
People learn differently,
Mhm.
in different ways, and because I know you did a martial arts as well, and
I
so
did
for
for about
me,
20 years.
oh, wow, and so for me, part of it is visually learning. Like I see the person do the move, and I just have to mimic it. So visually watching them do the move, I have to pick up on all these little nuances that I have to
Interesting. So you
do
used to
as
be a
well.
martial artist as well?
I dabbled a lot when I was a kid.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
did a Vietnamese martial arts called Viet Vo Dao, and then I went to like a kung fu school. It was called
Hmm.
Zen Kido. I'm not sure where the history of it came from. And
Hmm.
then my high school, we had a martial arts club, and that was essentially UFC, because we had like a kempo guy, a keto guy, capoeira, taekwondo. Like everybody had came from very
That's
distinct
cool.
styles, and then we were like, all right, here's a Muay Thai kick, here's a karate side kick, here's the capoeira dance. Like let's go to Jenga or something like that. Here's some
That's super cool.
Filipino escrimas. Right when the UFC started, and
Hmm.
so that
Hmm.
was like, okay, this is the beginning of what is mixed martial arts today.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
I know
so
exactly
yeah,
what you're
but yeah,
talking about.
a lot of visual learning, a lot of like going through the motion itself as well to pick up on something. Like how you draw, how you move your arm, how you move your shoulder, your wrist. Is like I gotta see someone do it, and then I can work on mimicking it.
So would you say that with all the training, that kind of training that it changed the way you took in, I guess, if you will?
Probably like in the sense that it watch once I see someone do it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's how it's done. Because I was
Hmm.
watching
Hmm.
somebody do a speed painting, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how you can really
Hmm.
manipulate
Hmm.
Photoshop. And
I love you
so,
too.
yeah, seeing it done, and
Uh-huh.
I just pick it up a little quicker than just reading it. You know what I mean? And it
That's
sticks
what,
a little longer than just skimming over like a list of instructions. For me, sometimes
yeah,
I like the list of
absolutely.
instructions to refer back to, but I think it changes how you what media you consume, how you look at certain movies different ways. Like when uh, Crouching Tiger came out, that was like
Uh-huh.
the biggest thing in the martial arts community. Everyone was like, "Dude, you
Oh,
see this movie, man? Like, it's number one." Because all their kung fu movies are always like cheap and kind of hokey. It's like this is a serious kung fu movie that got international acclaim. I was like, everyone's like, "Yes!" We're like, for Christmas, everybody got it. Everybody in my martial arts clubs and schools and dojos, everybody gifted to. I was like, I got like 5 copies. Everyone gifted it to me. You
I
know.
love it. Oh God, yeah. No, it's really interesting to see how it does change you. I mean, just
The discipline as well. Like I gotta do this every day. I gotta, if I want to get better, keep going. That
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
absolutely, absolutely. No, but it's funny how you say watching something how you can pick it up quicker. So I'm getting into digital inking, which is I've always been traditional, so this is very new for me. I mean, outside of the mouse. So I illustrated with the mouse, but when it came to digitally creating a painting or a drawing or illustration that is not a vector image
Mm-hmm.
or some mediocre Photoshop crap that I was doing, um, I guess as far as like all the tutorials that I was seeing, they had pictures and everything showing me Clip Studio, and that was fine. And I guess I was getting it. And it wasn't until I saw somebody actually put from ground zero how their thought process was to create the base image. They started out with a gesture drawing, and then they started or sticks, whatever they were doing, and then that base sketch had 3 different layers, and I was just like, oh, that actually makes sense to me. And then
Mm-hmm.
they started becoming more detailed from there, and I was just like, okay, yeah, I think I'm getting this. And
Mm-hmm.
that in itself taught me more in 5 minutes than the last 2 weeks that I was
Mm-hmm.
spending on these images that I was looking at.
Also depends on the teacher. I remember seeing color theory from my professors in college, and it was more like a how to use a marker class, less about color theory. Then I watched Brian Stelfreeze do a live painting and him walking through his color selection, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's an entire semester
Oh my
of
gosh,
color theory just crammed into a single
I,
session.
I took one watercolor class in college, and it was because I had to. It's not because I wanted to. I was just like, I did this when I was 12. Yeah, I know watercolors, whatever. Psh, right? So I've been doing a lot of acrylic painting, and I worked with a lot of color, and I thought, I know everything about color. And it wasn't until that watercolor class that it just blew my effing
Mm-hmm.
mind. I mean, getting into warm versus cool, then you get into, it just got so complex so quick, and it was fantastic. And how to apply, I knew about complementary colors, but how to apply them,
Mm-hmm.
oh, just,
Because the depth of it, because it's layering and understanding the medium and the paper and the materials you're using, it like
yeah,
the
that's
complexity of
the,
it can get really crazy.
and I think to the heart of it, watercolors have to be simple. You can't sit there and just cake and cake and cake, because after a while, you've muddied it, and there's no
Yeah.
way to bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to really pull everything to its essence when you're doing watercolor. At least that's how I've seen it. But something that really blew my mind was when I got my second tattoo. The theory is like for shadows you would use a complementary color, and a lot of people use black when they're shadowing, like let's say shadow cast on your arm or
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. They'll use black to darken it, right? And to create that kind of beautiful contrast and that kind of a subtle pop, you'd use a complementary color. So, like, let's say this red, you would use like a green. So
Mm-hmm.
I had the red Voltron cat this guy was working on. And then when he started getting into the shadows, he started dipping into the green, and I just almost went sploosh. I was like, dude, oh my god,
Makes it pop.
just take my money.
And it's also understanding like how to use it in the medium, how to like really
Oh
make the effect
god,
work.
yeah, 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 absolutely.
Yeah, I see
It's
that. It's a
crazy.
gorgeous tattoo. It's amazing.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, I love it too. It's like, uh, yeah, that guy was so super cool.
Have you ever
But
gotten to
yeah,
tattooing? Like how far you ever dive into the tattoo like old art culture?
not much. I've
Okay.
had two people ask me for art for a tattoo. The first one, I don't know if they ever got tattooed, and then there was another piece that I made a long time ago. It was this inked with quill Phoenix Dragon that I did.
Okay.
I mean, this thing was huge. It was about this big. So when you condense it to a form that is still usable, where the line work is still
Yeah.
there to where it doesn't disappear, it's about this big. And this guy did it. He had it like on his. I think it was either no, it was back here.
Okay.
And he even showed me a picture of it and everything. I was just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it was pretty. I was like, wow.
Yeah, the
But
skill
no,
involved is amazing.
oh God, yeah. And, I never really dipped into it until I was ready to get my own. So
Okay.
as far as the tattoo business world, if you will, I don't know much about it all.
I just remember looking at flash art when I was like 7 at
Mm-hmm.
like a CD tattoo parlor. Because I've extrapolating from now, I believe my mom was looking into tattooing guns for permanent makeup, like
Oh,
at the forefront of what that was being a thing. And so I guess she had taken me around to visit tattoo parlors as she was talking to the tattoo guys about their guns and stuff. I just remember looking up at the wall and like seeing Warner Brothers flash art on the wall, and then a
mm,
guy come out of the bathroom like checking on his arm. I was like,
yeah.
I think I knew what tattoos were. But I was like, okay, what is this? Okay, cool art on the wall. Like this is neat. It
I
was
thought
very
I knew what it was.
yellow. I just remember everything being very yellow. So it was like carpet, wood, off
It's
color. You know.
it's really interesting. It's like I've only had two, and they were two different artists, and their studios were very different, but they still had that kind of macabre feel to it. And I always found that interesting. Just dead animals. You had your skeletons over here, which I'm like, cool, whatever. My uncle does the same.
Part of the industry, we went to a tattoo convention, and there was a vendor. There was two
Mm-hmm.
taxidermy, one vendor selling dead things in jars, and the company was called Dead Things in
Dead
Jars.
things and cars.
And then someone was selling like frog dioramas, like dead frogs set in like repertoire, like fencing poses with each other, kind of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I think it's a hark on some old. It could be also be vintage. I'm not sure, but I think it's supposed to hark on those old taxidermy things people used to do back in the day, or and to continue to do these days. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
skulls is just part of the
It's
culture.
really interesting, and it's like it seems like every industry has its motif, if you will, for
Mm-hmm.
the whatever. It's like with at one point I almost became a potterist.
Okay.
When I was in college, I had taken as many courses as I was. So my major was painting and drawing, and I had to take like 3D courses, and so I got into pottery, and at one point they matched, and I
Okay.
almost switched. But anyway, so teapots is the thing for them. That's their motif. So it's interesting to see that skulls. From what I've noticed, skulls is a huge thing with tattoos.
Yeah, it's part of. I think it's in the art genre. If you look at the old
Mm-hmm.
Vanny's Toss paintings,
Mm-hmm.
you paint death and you see like your life on the table dying. So it's that really weird macabre thing.
Interesting.
Like I think it's just part of like art culture because we,
Mm-hmm.
as an artist, because we've talked about this in these crazy times. Why are we making art? Like, does it add
We
to,
have talked about this. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But art a lot of times needs to like stare death right in the face and go, "All right, you're there, but I'm here."
It's interesting you bring this up. So, with everything that's happening now, it's like everybody's pulling heavy from the art. I guess the fruits of our labor as
Hmm.
artists. You know, as far as like finding something that makes them happy, art pieces, or even just like entertainment that comes from art of different kinds. So it's just interesting that we're having this discussion now, especially with what's happening.
Yeah, like you're
Um,
way over there. I'm over here in the art club, like in the clubhouse. I
mhm.
think I deem this the clubhouse. Uh, you know,
Virtual.
yeah, it has to be this way for a while, right?
Oh, it does. I mean, like. I don't know if it's like this for you, and I'm pretty sure it is. But do you find that you have to have things that stimulate you
Hmm.
to look at? I mean, not to make you happy, but it just somehow makes you feel complete, if you will. Like if you were
Okay.
to have a minimalistic, okay, for at least for me, if my room was to be our studio room, it was to be minimalistic, and there was nothing much on there except for maybe 5 pieces, I would go nuts. Like
I'm like
I,
that at work. Like at my workplace, I don't bring any decorations to my room. But I think that's part of my freelancer mentality from back in the day. At any moment,
Mhm,
I need to dip out. You know what I mean? I don't
mhm,
want to leave
mhm.
anything behind. Um,
No,
so
I can agree with that. Everything that's up there at work, even though I love them, I wouldn't be heartbroken if I had to
yeah,
leave them.
and
Yeah.
so I never really. I after so in college, I never really decorated because I moved around a lot. So
Hmm. Hmm.
and then I just kind of stuck over from there. But I love the old CBGB's look, like plastered. Like you see in our green case, my scanner's the same way. Ruby's table's the same way. My posters when I was a kid was the same way. I just had posters just right on top of each other and just filled the
Hmm.
wall. And I was upset that
Hmm.
there's some area like they won't let me fill that part up, you know. And so I want to cover the entire thing. But nowadays it's like our phones, our TVs, our screens. I listen to a podcast, and I'm doing this, doing that,
Hmm.
and it's yeah, you're right. It's everybody needs a different type of stimulus. Like for
Yeah,
us, like it needs to be pretty constant. I feel.
it has to be constant, and it's the only way you can focus in a weird sort of way. It's like if you're not having something that's not barraging you, if you will,
Hmm.
but not in a bad way. Uh,
I doodle during
Personally,
meetings.
oh God, I'm so bad about that. I'm always working on my cosplay in meetings. I mean, I'm listening, and when somebody
Hmm.
asks me a question, I'm there. But yeah, I'm like,
Half the
I
paper
don't
is
have enough of
notes, the
this.
other half is a drawing. So I'll start out like date, and I'll like this side of the paper are all my work notes, and then I'll just draw around it. And so yeah, it's I if I don't doodle in a meeting, I will fall asleep. Like if you want me to not pay attention the quickest, make me sit there and watch. I will pass out. Like I need to draw, I need to doodle. Like it's just the way it is.
I want to say that there's an actual study about that where you need to, um, even somebody that's not artistically inclined. I mean, just the thing of doodling somehow it's like it's focusing you more than you would if you were just sitting there staring at each other talking or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It works out for a lot of people like us, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be careful with though. I've been fired for my doodle before, so it's been it
What
was
kind of
tricky.
doodle did you have?
I drew I drew a dead flying robot that was reminiscent of the pods from Super Mario Land, I believe, for the Super Nintendo that Bowser and his guys like floated around. So it had a little propeller
Hmm.
at the bottom and a bowl, and I made it dead because it was supposed to be defeated after a fight, I think.
That's
And then
highly intricate.
because that's what it was. Like that's what I was thinking about when I was drawing it. Because like, oh yeah,
Have you got?
I like that shape, and I just drew a word balloon that says "I quit."
Oh,
And then someone showed my CEO, and then he fired me.
are you serious?
Uh huh.
Oh my God. Okay.
The power of a doodle, right? Like it was
Wow. I
fine.
guess.
It was perfect. I needed to be gone. I found a great new job that works out for my lifestyle a little better.
No, I
Um,
understand. My previous place of work, at the current company that I've been at, this is probably my 15th year,
hmm,
16th year. So I've
wow.
been there for a while. Yeah. So the other company that I was at was not conducive to a healthy environment. So you had a bunch of artists in the same room, and we're all not cool with the environment we're in. So
Yeah. It's
you start doing things that probably should get you fired.
like legit. Like, wow.
Like
Don't watch the tapes.
like like there's stuff like in your cubicle on the wall, and if somebody took a good look at it for 1 minute, not seconds, but a minute, fired.
No one
Should
pays
have been fired.
attention. No one pays. I used to
Nobody.
go. I used to go
Shoot.
to school wearing a shirt had a sun on it, and
Uh-huh.
underneath it it says "I'm a ray of fucking sunshine," in just black type. I wore it forever, and then one
And
day
nobody.
a classmate walked up. He's like, "I just read your shirt, and I realized you've had that on multiple times." Like, I've been wearing it the entire time, and nobody noticed. No one notices. I told my friend when we were working at the company, he's like, "Yo, next time you go to Vegas for work,
Uh-huh.
just look, just look at the people around." And then he came back. He's like, "Dude, there is so much going on." I was like, "Uh huh." Like, but you just don't pay attention. Like, people just don't pay attention. Like, to the day to day, like just the normal stuff.
Okay.
They're in their own little world.
Case in point. So I bought this T-shirt, and I looked at the art, and all I saw was "FU unicorn," and I thought, "Hey, that's cute. Fine, cool." I got the shirt. What I didn't realize, and what I didn't notice myself, was on the unicorn, the horn itself is a middle finger, and I was so beautiful. It was the most exquisite thing possible, and I just can't believe I didn't even see that.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love that shirt.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, people don't notice these things. It's paying attention, and I think that helps. I feel it helps me as an artist looking around. Like, I notice like little things, and it helps me tell little stories in different projects that I do, or different storylines I come up with on different concepts. You know?
Do you ever feel that you're collecting resource stuff, not necessarily just images or whatever, for projects that you cannot get to until years from now?
I did before quite a bit, but now I feel like I just need to produce. So I'm just running as fast as I can on anything that I can do currently at the moment. Hence, a YouTube show. Like, that's where we are. Like, I gotta do this thing now. There's a lot of things in production, so I'm in that mode.
That's
I
cool.
used to be more collective and building stories and having different Word docs with different concepts, and build on each one of them. You know, but at a certain point, I just had to focus my attention. I've done this multiple times.
Uh-huh.
I skipped college math essentially. They told me I could take calculus. I said no, thank you. I'm gonna take college algebra, and I just coasted on what I knew at the time and what I remembered.
Uh-huh.
I didn't take any quizzes. I didn't take any tests. I barely passed. And then I
Oh,
remember
wow.
I used to do the Chinese lion dance, and then at some point I was like, all right, I have to focus on my career and my art, and so I have to stop doing this thing. And I've been over the years cut things out to like focus on my craft and what I need to do to
Yeah.
produce, which is why I have a really odd body of work and multitudes of like different things. Like, all right, let's hammer it in. So,
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
but now I get to like work on different projects and understand I don't have to actually craft the full thing. I can help produce as with all the years of knowledge I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've done this a lot. And you worked in your current location quite a bit. Was and your current location is kind of art related, right? If I remember correctly, like designing.
Yes.
Because I'm a
So
designer
it's
by trade.
so designer by trade. Yes and no. It's since I've been in it so long, so I'm actually part of the research and development
Okay.
department. So I never was part of marketing. And so when I came on there, at one point they had a website that they wanted a lot of illustrations on. So I was hired as an
Oh.
illustrator.
Oh,
They
okay.
didn't realize that I was a graphic designer. So when things turned down that they didn't need that part anymore, they needed an illustrator and graphic designer to do their prototype labels. And I was like, okay.
Oh,
So I started doing that. And then I got into like web coding, PHP, HTML,
okay.
and then I started doing regulatory. I got into regulatory affairs are that particular part of the department, and that's where I've been for the last 10
Oh, okay.
years.
Oh, okay.
And it's only just recently that they've discovered that I'm an illustrator too, again. So now I've been doing, yeah, I've been doing a lot of illustrations for them recently. So
That's
it's
cool.
really interesting how it's become full circle.
Yeah.
But for the most part, graphic design.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's the other thing because I bounced around a lot. It helps me see how creative departments work and how to,
Mhm.
because we're kind of a different breed than other people. Like how to incentivize salespeople is very particular. How to incentivize like project managers is different than creatives, and
Mhm.
creatives is a hard nut to crack for a lot of people. Don't know why.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just, I run across a lot of like weird prejudices against the department, which some of them are founded. When you meet certain people, you're like, oh yeah, I can totally see why you think that way. But I'm not, but he is, or she is. I was like, yeah, I totally get why you think that way, but
Yeah.
it's just them. Um, but it's common in the variety of the communities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like since I've been part of regulatory and research and development, pretty much most of my colleagues. It's only just recently that I had an artist, which was someone that I used to work with at my previous company before I came to this one. Uh, I have been scientists. That's
No.
all I've been working with. Yeah,
Oh, that's
so weird.
interesting. I bet.
Well, and it's so funny. It's like so my mom, before she got into ranching again, she was a pharmacist and she married a doctor.
Mm.
So on the way that they approach things, it's like the scientific method. It's like that. They're like scientists, but a different breed, if you will. So being with these guys was just like being with my parents. So I was kind of used to that.
Oh, okay, right on.
Even though the first year I didn't know what the hell they were talking about in these meetings, I was just like, whatever. They're
Yeah,
talking about all these ingredients and the things that they do for the products, and what? Okay,
yeah. I
cool.
get I get to the point where I was like, that is not my field of expertise. I will leave
Mhm.
that to you, and you will come to me for the Pantone colors, and we'll just leave it as that.
But would you say that, I mean, have you been at your business long enough that you've picked it up, that I guess where I'm going with this is, do you find that you kind of like an amoeba, almost like
Mm-hmm.
merge into a different level just because of how, I mean, just taking in what
Yeah,
your environment?
for what I do, I assume what you do and why you get good at it is you have to learn the industry that you're in.
Hmm.
Like, I know more about the fashion industry than I probably should because I worked at Neiman Marcus for quite a bit. Like just how they do trends, what kind of trends to pick out, how to do colors, how to do
Yeah.
a designer. It all works out. Trade shows, the technical sides of art supplies, a little bit
A
of
little bit
medical.
of that. Yeah.
When I was in school, my teach our minor couldn't be within the art school. Our minor had to be outside of the art department completely. So they were like, we want to make you more well rounded. So don't just be in go. We suggest English, psychology,
Wow.
marketing.
I
You
don't
know.
remember what UT did. I know that my
Okay.
minor was Spanish, but I don't remember if UT was the same way or not.
They made us like
Interesting.
as a designer you need to be more well rounded because they were like psychology to understand your audience, how do people think. I
Hmm.
ended up in
Hmm.
English because that's what I just naturally did, and
Hmm.
so it helped me like write things and put things out.
Hated English. I was math all the way.
And
Hated
I
English.
dipped out of math so fast. It's
I
hilarious.
took calculus. I laughed actually when you said calculus. I was like, yeah, I took calculus too for the fun of it. It wasn't required.
My my parents had me doing SAT prep work in the 6th grade. And so, yeah, I remember going to my SAT prep class and them going, "Yeah, you do this and this." I'm like, "I haven't covered that in my school." My parents just wanted me to get into it, but it taught me how to take the test, which is a strategy on how to game the SAT mechanics
Yeah.
as a test, which is kind of cool. It helped me think, you know what I mean? Helped me problem solve.
Yeah. Yeah.
But math was never. They put me in early math stuff, and it just went away.
Yeah.
I just draw all the time.
I make things pretty.
Yeah. I early on, I just dipped down and said, I'm just going to need math to make sure my canvas is the right size and how to add extra canvas and to
Oh my
wrap
god,
it.
that's the
Cool.
only thing I use math for nowadays is proportions.
Mm-hmm.
Proportions and how much is this going to cost me.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That all works out. Yeah, I wish I took financing. That's good. You know what I mean? But I'm from that generation where.
I never thought in a million years that it would actually be something that I need right now.
It was very de-emphasized in my school. I think the idea was, at a certain point, the liberal arts kind of took over schools, and a lot of the more practical things kind of went away. And so it was more arts and science, more science and math now, but the
Agreed.
everyday stuff kind of just disappeared.
Yeah,
My
agreed.
my stepson has an outdoor PE class where they teach him how to like how hunting works, how fishing works, how to make a fire, like
Oh,
how to
wow, that's
camp.
cool.
Outdoor PE. I'm like, okay, that's
I wish my PE was like that.
yeah, for
That would be
real.
kind of cool. I
I
mean, I didn't not like my PE, but
I learned all the sports, all the sports. I know how to do all of them. It was funny when we went to like inter-school academics competitions. There's always like a volleyball court, like an outdoor one, and my school everybody was lined up, rotating, serving, like everybody was game plan, and the other school was just chaos, just utter chaos. But yeah, my school every semester like all right volleyball, let's do it, let's rotate, let's drill for like a month, and you pick up certain skills in a month time period.
man, I wish we had done something like that. Basically, it was 1 week, let's do volleyball. Next week, we're going to do, I don't
uh
know, some crazy dancing shit with boards,
nah
which
you
was actually, that was fun. I like that.
Yeah, it's
But,
like anything else, like martial arts. You have to do it over and over again till that muscle memory is like ingrained in you.
and it's so interesting. I never learned that until I actually got into martial arts.
Oh,
And the
okay.
only reason I did martial arts is because I wanted to learn how to forge swords. So I thought I probably should know how to use one to make me a better forger. So I was checking out all the martial arts that had swords in them. I didn't like any of them, and then I happened to see some dude doing the crane kata at the time. I didn't know what it was. It
Okay.
was the most gorgeous thing I'd ever seen,
Hmm.
and I was like, yeah, okay, sign me up.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I never did repetitious kind of physically repetitious stuff until something like that. And you're right, your
Hmm.
body does not forget whatsoever.
Mm-mm. My layup, I'm not sure, it's been a while, but I remember doing my layup once, just hanging out with somebody, and they're like,
Hmm.
"That's really good form for what I expect out of you." It's like middle school, grade
Yeah,
school,
man.
middle school, grade school, middle school. Every year we had like a full quarter on basketball.
Hmm.
And so it's just drilled it. They were scouting, I bet. Yeah, that's what my high school coach did. He ran us through all the different sports, and he was like, "Oh, you're good at this. Oh, you're good at this." And he was like, "Hey, you should join this team. Hey, you should join this team."
Interesting.
Yeah, and
I
all the
don't know
other
what to
kids
talk
like,
about.
go run, go, yeah, go do your thing. That guy, I need to talk to you.
That's cool. That's super cool.
It's a smart thing to do. You know what I mean? As a coach, teaching PE,
Yeah, especially
because
if you're able to do that, if you have the eye for it.
mm-hmm, it's really, really trying to spot that talent takes a little bit sometimes,
Hmm.
and to foster it.
Hmm.
Well, like so, I assume your parents were really into your art career. Do they understand what you do these days, like with the crafts and all that
No,
stuff?
no, they don't.
Okay.
I think, well, okay, so I have two sets of parents. My biological father and my stepmother, every time they introduce me to someone, they call me an animator. And
Okay.
I pretty much stopped correcting them because it's been a while. And I'm just like, you know what, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm an animator that works as a graphic designer for a regulatory department.
Yeah.
Yes, whatever. No,
I
I
find art
try.
careers are very like, especially when you're dig deep into the weeds. Our titles are strange, like what we do.
Oh God, yes. Like so, there's a stigma that goes with like being a comic book illustrator, right? And when somebody hears that, they're like, "Oh, what? Okay." And that may not be so true now because we have all these comic book movies that have such a
Hmm.
huge impact on a lot of, God, our culture, not even pop culture anymore, it's just culture.
Yeah.
So that's not a thing anymore, but I remember having to say sequential art when I was younger
Mm.
or a graphic novel as opposed to a comic book.
Yeah.
and that was more palatable towards people. And so anyway, now I think my mother is beginning to understand. But when I finish this current book, this is the first project that I've, like I said, I have creative ADD, so I'll start something and then I'll just stop it and do something else, and then I never come back to it, even though I had this intention of doing that. And so this was the first time I didn't do that at all.
Okay.
And so when it was done, when I finally finished the last page, and this is before I even put it into a book format, that was huge for me. And so I was trying to tell my parents and everything about, I've been doing it for 4 years, right? So all these paintings that I've been putting together, I mean, it wasn't even just a little bit, it was like at least 50 to 60 paintings that I had done. Besides the book, there were other paintings outside of it, and they still don't
Oh.
get it, you know? Like, my mom is beginning to understand, but everybody else is just like, that's cool. But now that I'm starting to go to, so when I did conventions, I've always been an alley artist, God, for 10 years now. But most of it was just kind of off and on. The way I would approach an artist alley in the past is, I had my Lego fan art crap that I was doing, mashups from different series like
Okay.
Team Fortress 2, and then there was like Kingdom Hearts and some other things, whatever blew my skirt. I didn't really care what was popular. I also would look at bins of fabric or stuff, crap that I had, and I was like, well, what can I do with this? Cool, I can make Okami hoods. Okay, cool, got it. Or I can make yarn beards. Cool, because I have too much yarn, and I don't know why I bought all that crap. Cool, yarn beards.
Okay.
And so they had seen all that. They've known I've gone to conventions, and they know it's just kind of a side hobby kind of thing. But now that I've last 2 years, it seems like it's been kind of ramping up with this book. Well, the art, but then when I finally got the book, that's when it seems like it's starting to kind of sink in. It's kind of serious for me, and it means a lot. So
That's cool.
yeah, my mom and my stepfather are they're starting to come around and understand what this is.
That's cool. It's like, yeah, they
Yeah.
is a discovery of like, oh, here's a voice that's trying to come out. Here's a story that's trying to come out, and the
I
medium
don't.
is just this. Like I think that's the key for me to help people understand creatives is like they're trying to tell a story, whether it's
Mhm.
through a movie or a comic book or a TV show or a writing or poetry. We're just
Yeah,
trying to put out a voice out there, and
I
that's what drives us all the time.
absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know if they see it quite like that yet, but I think with this new project, since it's going to be such a long term one, I think they
Okay,
finally will. Yeah.
cool.
So I no, it's really cool. This project has been weird for me. Like there's certain demographic that goes with the kind of art that you do. There's a certain type of people that that enjoy it, especially at these conventions. Like when I was doing all the fan art and the crafts and stuff, a lot of the people that would come to my table were dudes and preteens. I
Okay,
got a lot of dudes and preteens, and they had a grand old time. It was great. But this time it's different, and the way people are responding and the kind of things that come out of their mouth, it's different. It's like I get a lot
okay.
of people talking about like what they see on a more spiritual level, and I'm just
Oh,
like, oh, oh, okay,
and this one
okay.
is with which project?
It's with the current one with the short story Belmont. Yeah,
Okay,
with all
that
the
one.
Dark Horse and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I get a lot of people that just the way they're responding to it is crazy, and it's just so it's been different, and I think my parents are starting to see that as well. Actually,
Okay,
some of my friends are starting to see that as well. So it's interesting to see how people are changing their
that's
viewpoint.
cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
I remember seeing that artwork, and that's what drew me straight to you because I was like, this looks really different from everything here, and that's what
thank
I
you.
love about art is you can see people in their art, and like you can recognize it right away. I remember watching or reading a web comic by I think it was the Penny Arcade guys, and
I know
then
exactly what you're talking about.
the character put up his foot, and then I was like, that's a Scott Kurtz foot. That's not his foot. But the
Isn't
Kurtz had
that
just
funny how that
moved in.
happens?
I know.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Gaijin Studios is the same way out of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can once you can see it before they were working together, and then after working together, and
Mm-hmm.
you can see who got mixed into where, and how, and everybody influenced each other, and they're all really strong players. And so, like I've always said, I've always felt that steel sharpens steel. So you always want to be around people you see as better than you, so you can always get sharper and sharper. And so when you
Mm-hmm.
come
Mm-hmm.
into a group like that, I think that's what happens. Hence, also art club. I think being around people with unique voices will allow
I
people to find their own unique voice in the process.
I absolutely agree. What you and Ruby have put together as far as the art club, I've gone to a lot of different art clubs and they're fine. But a lot of them had to do with I was at the stage that I needed an exchange, if you will, and it was fine. The art clubs that I was at, a lot of these people were just beginning. They were just starting. They're getting into their adulthood and they wanted to get into art, so they're just starting. So they have all the questions and there's nothing that I can exchange with them.
Okay.
So when I got into your when I finally was got up the nerve to actually come to one of your art meetups, um, I will admit I was like,
Uh, New people.
whatever. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
But that was something that was crazy. I mean, not only, as you say, the variety of art that's brought, I mean, skill level, not just skill level, but the kind of art that's brought to the club, but the level of quality and drive and from start to well seasoned, it's crazy and it's fantastic. And I never shut up about it. It's like,
Aw, thank you.
no, seriously, I
You had someone come. I think the person you were talking about. Someone came by with your book. I saw them out at the table. Your Belma book. And I was like, oh shit. And he goes, yeah. Jen told me about this. I just felt like swinging by. It was a
no
writer
shit.
and
Are you serious?
yeah, it was a writer and his artist friend. He showed up like, oh, it's cool. And I would love more writers
That
to
was
show up.
from that
Wonder.
was from Women's Comic
Yeah,
Con,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Women's of
Hmm.
Wonder. Oh my god, I know exactly who you're talking
Oh,
about.
cool. Yeah, he showed up. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, this is neat. I will.
oh man,
I try to invite writers. I know it's this weird artist writer, especially in comic books, like this weird thing about it. I
it
was like,
really is.
we're all creatives, man, and like
Yeah, yeah.
you don't
It's just
see the work I put. Like all you see the output, and you can look at it as simple, but you don't see the legwork behind it. You don't see the hours in the gym.
mm-hmm,
You don't see
mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
training every day, and you just see the end product. I was like, but if it's the end product is good, the whole thing is good, and the craftsmanship behind it, I feel it's the same. Like you have to have
Mm-hmm,
the same
mm-hmm,
passion for it, the same
mm-hmm.
drive for it, because we've experienced bad cheap art before, and we know what that feels like in a
Yes,
variety of different
absolutely.
mediums.
Oh god,
So
yes.
when you feel something that's genuine, it doesn't. I feel the medium doesn't matter. Like
Agreed.
I can engage
Absolutely.
with it and enjoy it and understand
And
that is high quality.
it's why I actually don't like referring to people as artists much anymore, but more as creatives
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
because and the reason why I say that is because it encompasses even into music,
Mm-hmm.
writing. You get into just there's so many different ways. It's the same thought process, but it just takes a different expression, if you
Yeah.
will.
I was at a photography swap meet, and the guy's like, "What are you into?" I was like, "Oh, I'm more of an artist." He's like, "Well, aren't we all?" I was like, "You're right. I'm an illustrator.
Yeah.
I'm a digital illustrator guy." He's like, "Okay, cool." So that's the artist is no longer like because it always in pictures one thing, but it's actually
Hmm.
more than that. You know,
Yeah.
I
Oh
rem-
god, yeah.
I remember in high school, my buddy Catherine, she entered in the senior portfolio contest at the state level,
Hmm.
and it was just photography. And people were like, "Oh, I'm not sure about this," because it's everybody was mixed media, not and photography was like kind of looked low upon by the other artists for whatever reason. I guess it's an old stigma, and
Yeah.
but she won because just looking at the body of work, you look at her work and I feel something here.
Oh,
The
yeah.
other places I can kind of, I remember looking back at it, the other places I can kind of see a voice. I can kind of see who they are as a person, like a soul behind it. I can kind of, because it's early, and the skills are all pretty good. And hers is like high skill, and you feel something behind it, which is I think why she's now a pretty successful muralist. She started as a photographer in high school, has a photo
That is
degree,
awesome.
and now she's a muralist. She always painted, and it informs her painting at the same time. So it's like
It's amazing.
graphic designer. I've done photography. I've done writing, copywriting, creative writing. You know, production. We're creatives. We do a little bit of everything now, especially
All of it
nowadays.
flavors everything. Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's so easy to just I'm gonna try this for a little bit
Yeah,
and get really good at it. Yeah, it's too easy to do that now. The access is amazing. And
especially
then
what we do now for like our day to day stuff. It's this digital stuff. We got to know how to do Photoshop to do this kind of
oh
thing.
yeah,
You know what
oh
I
yeah.
mean? And I wish I could know how to code. I don't code. I kind of understand it,
I
but
used to
I
code,
can't
but it was a long time
dig
ago.
into it. I know enough
Yeah.
to be dangerous, and I know like bad. I remember I made a change on the company website, and then my email went down. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that was me. And then the phone rang, and it was our IT department. I was like, that was me. I pick up the phone. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm changing it back right now. He's like, what did you do? It's like, I changed this thing. It's I do it for my website, so I thought I'd do it here, but I didn't realize you have this intricate system behind here. My bad. I'll
Oh
fix
God,
it.
right? Yeah, yeah. My knowledge is so surface level. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a little below surface level, but just enough to get what I need done, and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But it helps you work with other people, so I feel like I know how to speak to a coder because I know just
exactly.
a little bit of code.
Yeah, you
Because
know where
we
their logic is coming from.
or we have to be multidisciplinary. Like imagine now trying to put together a creative team. It's like, all right, if I can get some, it's just a bucket of skill sets, and you gotta find people. It's like, okay, you have the animation and the coding, and you're okay at graphics, but this person is really good at graphics, but okay at illustration, you know, and you gotta hopefully get the right number of people with the right Venn diagrams to make your project work.
You know, and then to make it even more complicated, it's just like, how do they see? I guess, are they adaptable?
Mm-hmm.
Are they more structured? Are they too structured? But in a good way.
Yeah.
Like for instance, you know, with my job, it's like you have to be highly adaptable because it's like the kind of things that we're asked to do, especially with regulations, they change
Oh yeah.
yearly, if not 6 months, and it's just so anyway. And the kind of things that we're having to do, it's the technology for packaging is changing
Mm-hmm.
yearly.
Gotta
So
keep up.
the kind of the kind of person that I needed was somebody that was able to take in all that and not get stressed out about. You have to hit the ground running, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
do it by adapting and not flip out about it.
Yeah.
And not to say that you know, but there was a certain personality type that needed to be done that way. And this friend of mine, the job that we had at this warehouse, that's what we were doing for 40 hours a week every day, and it's just basically we're really good at jerry rigging. We just
Mm-hmm.
at the time, but that kind of mindset is what we needed for this job.
Yep. It's the adaptability, and luckily, as like I feel as a creative, once especially now with Adobe being what it is, once you learn one software, you can move into other softwares fairly easily.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Fields are kind of the same way. When I got into trade shows, I was like, all right. I looked at trade shows as gigantic packaging at first. I was like, how do I?
Interesting.
Because I was given a blank trade show booth, like a gigantic 100 by 100 complicated trade show booth, and they were like, skin it. I was like, okay, cool, brand it a certain way. And then as I got more and more into it, I realized like, okay, I am designing an experience. I want my person to walk through here, see this first, then turn the corner, and then see this experience, and then go into a room and feel this
Yeah.
experience. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And so and which is I feel why my school at the time called itself communication design versus a graphic art or graphic design curriculum, because they're
Yeah.
like, you're gonna start designing the signs in a store, which is wayfinding, and then you'll be doing rooms and doing other things. So as a designer, you
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to move industries fairly easily, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what the
Mm-hmm.
skill set is for. And once you learn one, you kind of like figure out how you learn and then apply it to something else.
Absolutely. It's funny. It's like, so I do a bunch of cosplay, and I've gotten into props recently, especially EVA foam, and it's funny. It calls back to an internship that I had with a 3D design studio. So because I did a lot of woodwork by building my own frames when I was, with painting
Okay.
and drawing and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, I knew how to use radio saw, table saw, stuff like that. So I had a friend that called me up and was like, "Hey, you want a summer job?" And you still do. He did the work, the woodwork and stuff like that. And I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Cool." I get there. He didn't even give me any information whatsoever. So it turned out to be the coolest damn job possible. We basically, whatever it took to make what
Mm.
you needed for your event. So
Yep.
if you needed cereal to look like it's floating above
Mm-hmm.
and pouring into a bowl, we created that. If you needed a floor model for your new, architectural structure, we built that too. And it was so funny. We were using so many different. It stopped you from looking at something for its original purpose
Mm-hmm.
and for what its possibilities were, and that has been coming out like hardcore in prop making. It's just crazy. So
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
harkening back to stuff that I learned 20 years ago, and I'm just like, this is so crazy.
It's fun. It's like if, but you're learning more. You're like, oh wait, I didn't
Oh,
realize. It's all the tech
hell
changes
yeah.
too.
Oh my God. 3D printing? Oh,
Ah.
I'm getting into LEDs now. It's like,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, super fucking cool. Oh, sorry.
I remember when the
It's really
trade show
cool.
industry, I did a lot of things too because we're getting like LED paneling, and the sister company was a digital company, so
Mm-hmm,
it
mm-hmm.
was getting into VR, and then VR it just melded with physical items and physical things. I was like, oh, that's really neat, and then which is how it's related to here because I was given like an open like a playpen. I was like, they're like I just come to like I want to accomplish this. Is that
Mm-hmm.
okay? Like that sounds cool. Make sure your work is done, but you can go do that. So okay, cool.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. Well, I always pitched it as if I do this for us, I can use it as a portfolio piece to charge our clients. To like, we can do this thing for you. And so everything they're like, okay, we can use it as a selling device. I was like, yep. And
You're
then you
very clever.
charge services. This takes this many hours. A person like that's how we make money, right? So
That's super
and you,
clever.
you have to bring something to the table. Like I remember us talking about it. Once you had your book at the table, it changed how people
It
approached
did.
you. And
It did.
once you have that product, once you have something to show people, it opens the doors, and they can look through it. And it sounds like it was you. I see it. Someone bought your book. Your people are responding well to it. This
Yeah,
is and this
absolutely.
is the how long was this project? This is the 4-year one,
This is a
or
4-year one.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's supposed to be 2,
Uh,
but yes, 4.
Not as bad as the Don Quixote movie, if I remember correctly. That's been
Wasn't that like 10 years or something?
they've had like hurricanes and people dying. It's a cursed project. So
Wow, wow. And they actually finally finished it though. That's
did
crazy.
they? Oh, I gotta. Okay, I look into that.
Maybe. And this is the one we're talking about with the Adam Driver. Is this the one?
I don't really remember. It changed teams. I want to say Johnny Depp was involved quite a bit for a while, but I could be wrong. That's how long it was.
Is this the same movie? Because I remembered that with Johnny Depp.
Mm,
Huh.
Johnny Depp and I think maybe Del Toro at some point.
Hmm.
Hurricanes, Cuba, I believe. Things getting swept away. But
Wow.
time change. You know how it is.
Yeah.
The if you want it to be done, we just pick a deadline and move on. Like that's what I do for my work because we constantly have to doing out to new things. But if we can sit back and just tell a story and just give me just a little extra time, just let me sit and like really nuance it a certain way. And at some point, we have to say we're done and move
Oh
on to
God,
the
yeah,
next
yeah.
thing.
Otherwise, you're just massage. I know this is a really bad term, but it's the only thing I can equate it to. But you're massaging the clay, like you're your form, and you're not even working on it anymore. You're just massaging it.
Yeah.
It's a pottery term. But yeah, no, absolutely. And I had to do that actually for quite a number of pages. Like there's a couple of pages
Okay.
that I just want to vomit every time I look at, and they're well received, which is great. But I can't stand them because I know that I
Mm-hmm.
could do better.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, I had to let it go, just keep moving.
Gotta get the
And
project done.
the one thing that took so long with this is there were so many things that I wasn't prepared for not knowing. Like I was not a landscape artist by any
Oh,
means. I was a figure illustrator. So I don't know why I decided I wanted to do creatures
wow.
or landscapes with geometrical shapes, so
Yeah.
stuff that doesn't exist. Yeah, I don't know why I decided to do that. So this is stuff that I was having to learn on the fly,
I can see
and
it though. Like you're even though they're landscapey, there's figure and shape to your pieces. Like
oh well, thank you.
there's like a physical weight to it. Nothing seems too floaty to me. Everything exists in a space. Because you have
Oh
most of it online, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
flipped
like
through the whole thing again
webtoons,
recently. I was
typos,
like,
and stuff like that.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Now that you said figures and stuff, it makes sense to me. I was like, okay,
But it's so funny. Is like I was taught how to use gesture drawings.
okay,
Finally, like okay, I mean you have the normal like gesture crap that you learn, and you're like okay, I hate this. I don't want to do this ever again. Yeah, fine. I get it. Fine. And it wasn't until I had an illustrator. I wanted to get in 3D animation. So at the time, A&M and Quad C were the only two places that you could do
okay.
3D animation. So this was a long ass time ago. Um, I had to take an illustration class. So I was doing double. I was going to school at UT and then driving to Quad C to finish out my 3D animation part of it. So at one point I had to take an illustration class, and this is what pretty much cinched it for me. I probably should have gotten into illustration, whatever, but neither here nor there. Um, he saw something in my art, and he was like, "Let me show you gestures," and
Okay.
I was like, "Whatever." And so whatever he did literally changed the art that I was doing over at
Mm,
UT overnight.
interesting.
And when I was in my figure illustration class, this guy was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I told him what was going on. It really did change it overnight. So where I'm going with that is I focus on motion now.
Okay.
All my thumbnails are gestures. So I see my pieces as motion and flowing lines. And a lot of the language that I'm getting from people that come up to it is they're like, "This is very geometrical. There's a lot of structure in it," and I'm just like, "What?" I mean, yeah, I understand it's got crystals and crap in it, but it's really interesting to see what people find in your pieces.
Yeah. Like to me, it sounds like somebody who likes art and appreciates art, but
Hmm.
doesn't have the years and formal or training, however you want to do it, behind it,
And fair,
because they don't
fair.
know how the 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 sausage is made. You know what I mean? And
Fair.
so
Yeah. No, that's fair.
they appreciate it. I can see why someone would say, "Oh, it's very geometric, very like shapely, very structured." I was like,
Hmm.
I see very organic shapes
Thank you.
everywhere, right?
Thank you.
It is a structure, it is a building, it is you have geometric patterns and things, but it's
Hmm.
form and volume and movement throughout the whole, like everything. Everything in your
Hmm.
artwork just moves around the page, and it's
Oh well, thank you, thank you. No, I was taught, the whole you take a die, right, a six-sided die,
mhm,
and the configurations on each face was something that I was told never to do in a piece. So the dot in the middle where it's floating with nothing
mhm,
behind it, never do that. You know,
okay,
it's just it's always pulling in and not having your eye move throughout the piece, and so I'm very anal about that. I don't like single floating things. Like so I won't say which convention I'm one of the judges for, but that's one of the things that I'll see that I'll immediately
yeah,
uh, down down grade it, not grade it. I don't know how to say that. Judge it,
yeah,
whatever.
critique
Yeah.
it.
Now, yeah, critique it. That's a good word. I like that. But no, God, there was something else I wanted to say that. Oh, this is something else. I don't know if other people do this, and I don't know why it was such a thing for me. But when I was doing fan art, I never could appreciate what I was doing and be proud of it. And I
Okay.
think it was because it wasn't. It was based on someone else's IP
Mm-hmm.
and not my work. Like I could
Mm-hmm.
never claim it, and so I enjoyed making it and I loved doing it, but it was never mine, and I always hated self-loathing and everything, crying about
Yeah.
it,
Oh.
and so I can't draw chibis. It looks like I can't draw the ugliest little things possible. So I did Lego figures,
Okay.
and I got so good at rotating these geometrical
Mm.
designs that I found when I was designing the creatures for this that once I got the skin for them, like the initial kind of like this
Mm-hmm.
is what they look like, I was able to rotate them in my mind. So even though I
Okay.
could never really find a physical representation or research image,
Oh yeah,
um,
of your weird ass shit. Yeah.
yeah, my weird ass shit. Yeah.
Like they're strange and they're alien but not. Like they're foreign but they're very familiar at the same time. I was like, oh, this is
Oh,
it's a
thank you.
fun world to dive through.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, uh, it's fun. Yeah, I really like it a lot.
Cool.
More so than I was ever anticipating.
It's sometimes those kind of projects. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
it's uh I don't watch Star Wars, the new one, the Maladorian. I can never pronounce it. I see the
Oh,
word.
oh,
I don't.
oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't hear it very
Mandalorian?
often. There you go.
Yeah.
I heard that it was supposed to be a side project, like it was a little filler piece, and I feel when that
Oh,
happened,
shit.
there was no. That means there's no oversight. There's not a billion CEOs in the room or like a billion
Mm-hmm.
executives in the room making these weird pushes. And marketing isn't involved. Marketing isn't like, yo, I need this cute thing. I need this. I need There's none of
Mm-hmm.
that. So they get to make their own thing, and then this happens. Like, it's amazing. So when there's no overbearing deadline and other what's the
I
word
see
of
where you're going with this.
agendas,
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
agendas, the art can just be. And
Yeah.
for as an artist, it resonates. I feel with more people at the end of the day
Yeah.
because we feel the fakeness, we feel the commercialism, we feel
God,
those.
you can instantly spot it too. It
Mm-hmm.
just yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
If you're digging pop culture and you love it, get it, great. Um, but for us, because like I said, I designer by trade, but that's not my passion. Like
Hmm.
these emails where I sell Weber grills isn't my passion that drives me,
No.
and I can't.
You have
But
your day job and then you have your soul job.
yeah, right.
Soul food.
That's the way it is.
Damn
So
straight.
let's wrap this up real quick.
Sounds good.
Where can people find you online?
They can find me on Instagram
Okay.
under, and then they also there's a main website that has links to everything else that I'm touching, but that's my main website, and
I'll add
that
them at the
is.
bottom down here.
Oh, you do?
And
Oh,
I will. This
oh
should be
okay.
up. I'm learning how to pre-plan this a little more.
That's so awesome.
Like my first one I did with David Hopkins, I was 10 minutes before going live making graphics and
Hmm.
learning the software and what it can do. Like the little graphic I have
Oh.
right here, I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
did.
yeah. This. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
little thing. I
this
found like,
thing.
oh, there's an overlay setting. I wonder if I can put a PNG in it. Oh, I have a PNG in it. Okay, cool.
That's
I hope it
fantastic. No, this
works.
is fantastic.
So I'm learning as I go. So everything be down there, linked to ready to go. They can find your social media and hopefully is has Denver canceled, postponed? What's going on?
It's postponed to Thanksgiving
That's right, Thanksgiving
weekend.
weekend. So
Yeah, currently, tentatively, I'll be there.
okay, and can
Yeah.
people can find your book and all that stuff online as well?
Yes. So because of the everything that's currently going on, I had to figure out how to do shipping. So now that I've got that a little bit
Okay,
more pat down, yeah, my shop will be online.
cool.
It's
That'd be awesome.
pretty damn soon.
People need to
Yeah.
get buy your book. It's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Love
Thank
the
you.
art. Cool.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for this. This has been awesome
No,
talking to you.
thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Love seeing you again. It's been quite a
Listen,
bit.
yeah, I miss you.
Yeah, we have to figure out how to do like a digital art club online somehow.
Oh my god, yeah,
We'll find
that'd be
something to put
amazing.
together. So
Yeah. Well, cool. All right. Well,
cool.
thank you.
Thank you. Let me hit the stop button. Bye. Let's get
Bye,
the
dears.
thumbnail. I hit stop. Stop
Holy shit,
all.
did we really talk that long?
Yeah.
I miss talking to people.
Oh, I know. That's why I love art club. I don't draw a lot. I just chat with everybody about
I know, I
their
know. I
art
think it's
journey.
fantastic. No, but seriously, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass.
Oh,
Really, the art club has been fucking fantastic, and it's
thank
just
you.
like there's so many things that I didn't even realize I needed until I started talking to people. Like specifically, you find comic book illustrators, but most of them are either pinups or if they've done sequential art, they haven't done it for long. Hey, I love you. How you doing, Ruby? I miss you.
I can hear you. Don't
Okay,
worry.
I can hear it.
No.
Yeah, we'll have to get everybody together at some point doing something.
Yeah,
Figure out
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Like,
At least have like a little virtual con somehow.
Ethan's been using what? Meetups? Google Meetups?
Yeah, he's using Google Meetups. Is the issue is getting multiple people on the line
Well,
and
he said
doing
he's been
video.
doing it
Yeah.
for class.
I
I
want to
don't know if they're
say
doing
Google
video.
Hangouts has 50 that you can
Zoom,
Oh.
I think,
do.
is the only one. Huh?
50? We can do 50. 50 or 15?
I
For
think
what?
50. The
Ooh.
last time I looked at that,
What?
Hangout?
Google Hangouts.
Google Hangout?
There's
Yeah.
also something called Google
I can do
Duo,
that.
which
Do it.
has like a,
Okay.
but I don't know much about that. We
Does she know how
tried
to use
it.
it? Does she know how to
I
use
can
it? 'Cause I
learn.
don't.
We can look into it if you
Hey,
can
girl.
throw
Hang-
software my way.
Hangout is super easy. Like Duo required,
Yeah.
but you have to know people's like actual like phone number.
Okay.
But Hangouts, what you had to do was
It's a
just
G.
a link, like
Oh,
Zoom,
okay. Oh,
and it
okay.
was, and the person that's hosting, they can leave, and you can still have everybody there if they
Oh,
want it
okay.
to be.
Cool.
But it was actually pretty damn cool.
We'll have to look
But
into it.
yeah,
Yeah. She
I
says
can look it
it's
up and see how many people.
yeah, it's how many people, and then we can do something maybe, what is it, April? Maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah, that'd be
Week or
cool.
two.
I'm
And
work.
there's a sharing screen
Okay.
option on there too.
I'm work from home until end of May.
Same. Yeah. And most likely, probably end of June.
Yeah, I think I was told that there has been a pause on military travel until at least mid-May. And
No shit.
so
Well,
my boss is like, if they're not moving, we're not moving. So
yeah, supposedly they're thinking like, God, it was mid-May is when they're thinking about it's going to crest,
yeah,
but it's still going to be a shit ton of people that are still kind of like, so you have like 100,000 people that are sick. The next week will be 90,000. Next week will be
yeah,
80,000. So the shift down won't be that
that
steep.
sharp.
It's still
Yeah,
going, yeah. So
I saw pictures supposedly of China where they let tourists back in, and it is shoulder to shoulder.
is that what I was looking at? I was
I
wondering
think
about that.
I saw a headline, but who knows? You know how it is.
I
Like
did see that. Yeah.
coronavirus in Washington, and his pictures of Chinese people. I was like, stop it. Go get somebody in the thing and go take a picture.
It makes me so fucking pissed off every time I see shit like that.
I think it's because at least in Asia, wearing a mask is very common, and you want that visual. And
Sure.
I go to the grocery store, not many people are wearing masks. I go to the post office, not many people are wearing masks. But if you want that cool shot of everybody wearing a mask to show how bad the virus is,
Yep.
like,
Okay, fair enough. I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
you know, that's what's if I
But
have
then
to
it
go.
doesn't help that our president's saying basically the Chinese virus, and you're
I
like, would you
know.
shut the fuck up?
It was kind of nice at work that people avoided me because I had a very easy day past that. You know what I mean? I was like, cool.
This sounds really bad, but the fact that I can go to an Asian grocery store and find what I need because there are a
Produce
bunch
is
of fucking
stacked.
racists and
Yeah.
oh god,
Produce is
like,
packed.
oh
Proteins is
and
packed.
yeah, like there is no problem finding what you need, and it's whatever.
Except
If you're gonna be a racist little bitch.
all the ramen was gone. All the ramen that was in anime is
Are you
gone
serious? Okay.
because there's all the Japanese ramen and the Korean ramen gone, but the Vietnamese one that I grew up with, pallets. It's like boxes. I bought a box and there's more. I was like, shit, fuck. I don't worry about this. You know what I mean?
I I know, right? I was like in California. Somebody was saying that they had taken all the frozen stuff down the
Uh,
fridge and everything, and I was just like, what about the unfrozen green things? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's everywhere. Basically, everybody's going for the high carbs and high like frozen shit, that, processed crap. But
for real.
stuff that actually. Oh, and ground meat. Like other cuts of meat, not so much, but ground meat is
Okay.
gone.
Easy, I guess. You can make. I think when I went, potatoes were gone. That made sense. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. You can do
Yeah.
everything with potato.
Sure.
Which I needed. I saw a thing where you can make tater tot waffles. You get a waffle maker and you put tater
Oh,
tots
I know
in it.
exactly what you're talking about.
I
Yeah.
was like, let's do that all day. Let's try this. I get a waffle maker.
Oh my God, cinnamon buns. If you've done that with a waffle
Oh.
maker, it's amazeballs.
Okay.
Is it? Yeah.
I'll
Just put a cinnamon bun in there and.
Uh, is it shaped like Texas though?
The the waffle maker? No.
You know, you travel at cons. You know exactly. You just stayed at a hotel.
I know
You know
exactly
exactly
what you're
what
talking
you're
about.
talking about.
Every one of them is the Texas one.
Me and Ruby always joke, is like, is there a Florida one? Is there like a Connecticut one? Or is Texas the only one that does this?
Oh my God, I never thought about it. If I ever went to like New Mexico and it has like a Texas one, oh my God.
See, New Mexico wouldn't be hard. Arizona, Nevada, Oklahoma's kind of okay. Louisiana's on a bad shape. Connecticut, New Hampshire's kind of weird. Yeah. Oh, Alaska would be dope.
Colorado would be easy.
Colorado would be easy.
Yeah, Colorado would be super easy.
Oh, no, probably not, sweetie. We try to buy a rectangle
Button maker.
button maker. That bitch is like hundreds of dollars.
It's
Are you
3
serious?
times the amount.
She says, Ruby says it's 3 times the amount of a normal round button maker.
Oh my God. That's like $600 to $900.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know much about machinery, so maybe like sharp corners is a lot harder to do than circles. Like the mechanics of it.
I guess. I mean, I see heart ones too, so.
The heart ones,
Okay.
I've been told, fall apart fairly quickly.
Okay, so after you successfully make them, they just fall apart.
Kind of like the cinching isn't as clean as it could be,
It has
apparently.
to
Huh.
break.
Say what, sweetie?
If you're looking at a heart,
Yeah.
it's easier to show.
She says
I guess that
easier to
makes
show.
sense. Okay.
Like if you're looking at a heart, even the professional buttons,
Yeah.
normal buttons do this or this.
Yeah.
Oops. But hearts have to do this.
Oh, that cinching.
So that middle
Okay.
part always has to break. And that's even
That
like the
makes sense.
professional quality ones, not even just a button maker that you do at home. That's like from companies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll get there eventually. We'll get some nanotech soon that just prints out.
Ooh.
You ever read Transmetropolitan?
No.
He has a maker in his apartment. Every apartment has a maker, like a fridge, and he's like, I need sunglasses, I need this, and you just fill it with material, and it makes whatever you need, like food, medicine, and all that. And the problem, that's why in Transmet he has like a round glass and a rectangle lens on his face, and the reason for that is he asked for a pair of glasses, and his maker was on drugs. He was like, what the hell are these? And the guy's like, and the maker's like, is what you asked for, hiccup? He's like, hiccup? What maker hiccups? And he gets back there, he yanks this thing, he's like, you're on drugs! And the guy's like, hey man, just give it back to me, man, I just need a little bit. It's like, you're on, that's why, I need a new maker. I need a maker that's not addicted.
Oh my God. I used to own glasses that had the red squares in the middle and the
right
round
on.
frames. Yeah. So bad.
If you want to read some really, and honestly, oddly topical, because it's a retelling of Hunter S. Thompson, essentially.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a crazy writer that is forced back to writing about politics, and it's about him butting heads with a Nixon-esque president, and then him butting heads with his replacement that was supposed to be super squeaky clean, but you realize he's a crazy psychopath. So, like, as a politician, psychopath.
Okay.
And so
And
I was
what is
like,
it called again?
Transmetropolitan.
Okay, I did get it right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's a fun series. It's
Okay.
very absurd, very futuristic. There's a point where he visits. What do? They maintain ancient civilizations in a area. Oh, there it is.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
My ex was. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like they push him full of antibodies to fight old infections, and then they hit him with more things that is like, well, this won't. This is so you won't kill them, and this is so they don't kill you. So he goes back to. They dial back humanity to a certain, like, the Mayans, and then they just let the Mayans work in this area. It's like, yeah, in about 5 years they'll be extinct, and then we'll clear this area out, and then we'll get volunteers to be Mayans again, and then we'll wipe their memory, throw them back, and let them be. Well, we'll let the cycle keep going.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, they're chopping heads, throwing them in the water, and they bathe in it, but that's what happens.
Oh, wow.
This is how we learn about humanity. We just watch it over and over again.
Wow.
Very
Okay.
weird, very strange.
Okay.
It's a fun
I'll
series.
check it out then. Thank you. Cool.
Cool.
All
Thank
right.
you again. Nice seeing you.
Yeah, thank you. It was nice seeing you. I miss you guys.
Yeah. Be safe. Wash your hands. That's the new,
I know,
like,
right?
bye.
Oh my god.
Wash your hands.
Right. Bye.
Bye. Take it easy. Oh, where's
All
that
right.
off?